Well, hello, friends. It's me, and it's time for another Neckbeard story. This is from our wonderful friend, Mr. Rando. And this is Joe and Pig, my Neckbeard cousins. Oh, it's always worse when you're related to them, isn't it? Let's get into this one, shall we? Hello, Moonhorse.
Huh?
And fellow Moonherd. After hearing Moonhorse read my last two stories, I figured that I'd share one that's hopefully more entertaining and as a bit of a palate cleanser. The story is a little different as it consists of a pair of Neckbeard brothers. I'm calling the brothers Joe and Pig instead of their real names, like we always do with these Neckbeard stories. Yeah, don't actually dox anybody. Also, I'd like to give trigger warnings for threats of violence and very uncomfortable conversations about anime characters. Oh, well then. I first met Joe in high school in 2017, when I was a sophomore and he was a junior, even though we were both the same age. I think it's because I started school a little late. Either way, regarding my own experience with Joe, there was really only one major incident. One where he managed to talk me into giving him $20 and he never paid me back. I don't know if anything really came out of this, other than bro threatening to fight him. As far as I'm aware, the fight never happened. Why'd I give him $20? Well, it's because he said he'd buy me a PlayStation 4. What? At the time, I was unsure if I wanted to buy a PS4 or a Nintendo Switch, but I made up my mind as soon as I saw the first trailer for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate late in the summer of 2018. I'm not much of a PlayStation guy anyway. I remember talking to Joe pretty often during my sophomore and junior years, especially during the later points where a lot of students were sent to areas like the cafeteria or the library to have free periods, while some classes were taking those big end-of-year tests. I don't really know how it came up during one of our conversations, but out of nowhere, Joel told me about this image he saw of Batman, let's just say being very intimate with Superman. Yes, Rule 34, it applies to everything, kids. Don't look that up. It will scar you. I didn't ask. Moonhorse, I'm very aware that you like Doki Doki Literature Club. I do. Well, Joe liked that game too. In fact, I vaguely remember him talking to me about something to have to do with the people online role-playing as the characters from that game. I'm sure that's a thing. And if I remember correctly, he told me that he took part in it. Oh boy. I remember Joe explaining to me that some fans want Natsuki to canonically be male. I have heard that theory, yes. And I think he also told me about a very awkward talk he had with his mom about him having a crush on Sayori after she saw her death scene. Yeah, that game's a bit of a trip. Sayori wasn't the only anime girl Joe had a crush on. He also had a crush on Miko, a fictional pop star dressed in red with short brunette hair. I remember this one time he said, "She's my girl." And I remember this time where Joe introduced me to Citrus, an anime about a high school girl falling in love with her stepsister. Sweet Home Alabama. I'm unfortunately well aware that there's quite a lot of anime about forbidden sibling love. Yeah. There's this other time where Joe told me that he and Pig watched the entirety of Prison School, an anime that I haven't really seen, but just a glance, I'll tell you shouldn't Google it at work. Oh boy. There have been a few occasions where I've shown Joe my drawings of original characters, and one of them, something really weird happened. This particular drawing showed off early designs for this group of anime-style protagonists consisting of 3 boys and 2 girls. When I showed that drawing to Joe while we were talking, he picked up a pencil and drew a line on the chest of one of the girls to emphasize her cleavage. Classy. I don't remember where the conversation went from there. At some point, I found out that Joe had a YouTube channel. I haven't seen a lot of his videos, but I glanced at the thumbnails for at least 2 Let's Plays that he did for both DDLC and Spider-Man for the PS4. He also uploaded at least 2 comic dubs he did for a scene from Deadpool Kills the Marvel Universe, and 1 fan comic for Miraculous Ladybug. I don't know what that means, but okay. He was a bit of an amateur voice actor, and I think he can do an okay job imitating the anime protagonist voice. At least he can do it better than I can. My voice is too deep. He once told me that he was going to be a voice actor for Dragon Ball Super, which I was skeptical about. Maybe he did a comic dub for the manga or something, but I seriously doubt that he get hired to do voice work for a high-profile production like that. After my junior year had passed, he graduated high school, and I wouldn't see him again for quite a while. Fast forward to senior year, where I met Pig, who was a grade behind me. I'll be honest, I don't have as much to say about Pig because I didn't really talk to him too much, but I've seen enough of his behavior to say that he was weird and naive, if not a little immature. For a semester or two, he was in my Spanish class. I occasionally overheard him talking about series like Ruby, I assume that's how that's pronounced, with classmates who really didn't care. I think he was also a brony, oh boy. But I'm not really sure about that. This might have been part of the reason why a lot of the classmates picked on him a little, along with the fact that he had the stereotypical nasal voice that you expect a neckbeard to have. I tuned out most of it, but I think the meanest thing I witnessed a classmate doing to him was telling him to his face that he looks like a pig from Angry Birds. Well, that's just not fucking nice at all. It didn't really help that there was this one time, if I remember correctly, he happily talked about cheating on his girlfriend with nearly everyone in the room. Well, that's extra fucked up. There was also a couple occasions where he showed up to school holding a plush toy of either Elsa from Frozen or Rapunzel from Tangled. Because of all this, I felt kind of bad for him. I don't think it's right to pick on someone for the media they consume. True. I learned from my mom that Pig is autistic, and she suggested that I befriend him, mainly because I also happen to be autistic. I only ever saw him in Spanish class, and I kind of prioritized my schoolwork over socializing with my classmates, so there were very few times where I made time to talk to him before he eventually transferred to another class. However, there was this one time where I was in the cafeteria and Pig approached me to tell me what happened to Joe after he graduated. If I remember correctly, he told me that he moved in with their older sister, who was in her 20s, and lived in an apartment at the time. From that conversation, I learned that Joe didn't get a job until after he graduated. From what Pig told me, Joe was wanting her to take care of him like their mother did, and she was threatening to kick him out unless he got a job. I don't know how to organically work this into a story, but Bro once told me that Pig posted a picture of himself to Facebook where he was shirtless and asking if any women wanted to wrestle with him. Oof. I'm very glad I never saw that picture. Yeah, I bet. Also, more recently, Bro showed me Joe's Facebook page, which has at least one pinup illustration of Goku and Chi-Chi. Weird. I think that's all I have to say about Pig. He was certainly weird, but I think he's an okay person, all things considered. Getting back to Joe, however, he eventually got his first job at McDonald's in 2019, if I remember correctly. Coincidentally, Bro also had his first job at McDonald's around the same time. They happened to work in the same department, the kitchen. Before I started working my grocery store job in 2018, my mom told me that working fast food would probably be overwhelming and stressful for me. But after hearing Bro's horror stories from his time at McDonald's, I think that's an understatement. From what Bro told me, working at McDonald's is hell on earth. Terrible management, less than ideal work environment, frequent grease burns, Karens, fights, and working with Joe. From what Bro told me, Joe was an absolute pain in the ass to work with. Bro's a pretty tolerant person, but he cannot stand Joe. I don't remember a whole lot about his story specifically, but I remember this one time where he had to show Joe how to use a dishwasher during a really busy shift. Joe also allegedly pulled a knife on someone and called someone the N-word. Real fucking classy. Yet he somehow got rehired? I'm guessing McDonald's was desperate for staff. Inevitably, Bro quit his job at McDonald's and eventually got his second job in the deli of the grocery store I work at. Even though he still had to deal with grease burns and Karens, he liked working there a lot more than his first job. Unfortunately, Joe would eventually start working with him once again, and he was just as much of a nuisance as before. Luckily, my brother managed to talk him into quitting, telling him that he'd make more money at McDonald's. Guess that didn't work out. After Bro recently started working at Walmart, he got a job at Walmart as well. But Bro told me that he has a whole department to himself, so he doesn't really have to deal with Joe anymore. I don't think anything major happened after that, so I guess this is just how the story ends. I know this is much longer than my previous two stories, but if you made it this far, thank you. Well, that is certainly something. I mean, I have so many questions about Joe. Why would $20 get you a PS4? I don't understand where that was going, but yeah, that's... what a strange dude. Like, Okay, I get that a lot of neckbeards have like a weird obsession with porn and stuff like that, especially when it comes to like anime stuff. You know, you don't just kind of like show that to everybody. There's a certain amount of decorum. You don't share your personal wax stack with randos. That's just not how that works. Also, modifying another person's drawing to be like, oh, titties. Like, dude, stop. That's just weird. Stop doing that. So, yeah, I don't know the anime and stuff that you were referencing. I only know a few small things here and there. I don't want to look it up. I imagine it's probably something that I should not look up because it's going to be the kind of thing that'll make me be like, yeah, no, I'm done with life. Joe sounds like a pain in the ass, but I want to go more towards the other guy, Pig, who I just feel bad for. Pig is a good example of the kind of neckbeard that's not, like, bad. We usually go for neckbeards when we talk about neckbeard stories. We go for, like, the negatives with everything. But there's always those who kind of fit in that little category who aren't really neckbeards. Like we say, it's always the fedora, not the fedora. And Pig just strikes me as that kind of guy. Like, he was just some kind of socially awkward neckbeard archetype who, was just trying to make friends and just trying to fit in and had a lot of strange interests, but really was mostly harmless. The whole thing about cheating on his girlfriend, I don't know if that actually happened. I can't say one way or another if he even actually had a girlfriend. I don't know the guy. He could have been just saying that for shock value and to get attention from people, because it sounds like he was pretty desperate to get attention from people. So that may or may not have even been real. He may or may not have just made that up. There's no real way of knowing, but for someone to just like straight up be mean to him like that, that was just totally uncalled for, He seems like a pretty harmless dude. Joe sounds kind of like your typical neckbeard layabout slacker who doesn't actually want to do anything and wants people to take care of him because, he's special or some nonsense. So he sounds like he's going to be, interesting for a while. Pig, on the other hand, I kind of hope, grew out of this phase and moved on to better things, because he just sounds like a kid who's doing everything he could to, try and fit in, but just not really making it. I feel, kind of grossed out by one and really sad for the other. That's an interesting combination. But thank you, Mr. Rando, for sending in this story, and thank all of you for being here. If you enjoyed this, please make sure you like, comment, subscribe, all the good YouTube stuff. I got a Ko-Fi and a merch store. Those are in the links below this and every video. I also have a subreddit, r/Moonhorse Stories. You can send me your stories there, and I'll definitely check them out. They might even get made into videos. Ooh, fancy. I also have a Discord. You can join it. Link is as well in the description. And every Saturday, usually, unless something comes up, there is a live stream. So it's kind of like this, except, live, and not like this at all. So, either way, come check it out. I love you all so very, very much, and I'll see you in the next video. Goodbye, everybody.